All right, hello. So welcome back to the podcast. Today I have Paulina with me. She's my coworker, and for like we did last time with Matt, we're going to talk about. Well, she's going to talk about her personal experience on how she came into liking like dark stuff and creepy stuff and why she's on here again. Like I said in the first podcast, I want people to come on here that want to be on here. I never want to force anyone on here. So it's kind of like my own little make sure I'm not forcing people to come
Yeah,
on here because
definitely.
it gives people the background of why they came on here. So, Paulina.
Hi guys, thank you for having me, Caitlin.
No
I'm very
problem.
happy to be here.
Yeah, how did you become into liking creepy
How
and
did
dark
I
stuff?
come to like the other side of the world? I guess the other dimension that we may possibly have out there. Well, I am a Sagittarius,
So am I.
I'm a born philosopher.
Yeah.
So I like to think that it came naturally.
Mm-hmm.
As a child, I was raised Polish, so we have our own little superstitions. So I was kind of always surrounded by something that's, there's something other than us
Mm-hmm.
in this world. I guess I've never really seen ghosts up until like 2 years ago, so I've never really had any personal experiences with it, but I've always loved horror movies, and I've never been scared of it. I've always just wondered, oh my gosh, like how or like where did it come from and things like that. So,
So when I asked Matt this last time as well. What's the first memory you're just like, oh my gosh, I love like horror movies, or oh my gosh, this is so interesting to me. What's the first thing that pops in your mind that was just like, wow, this is awesome. This is something I want to look more into, kind of thing.
Honestly, I got into it because my cousins would always watch horror movies, but like they would watch serial killer movies. And then I started watching like my ghost movies. So I'm like, okay, I'm so over like these serial killers. Like I want to see what's more out there. So I started going into ghosts, and then I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. So, but the very first movie that really got me was, I'd say, Jumanji.
Really?
Yeah. It's not very scary,
Yeah.
but I mean, I love that movie, and it's like supernatural, right?
Yeah.
And it just like kind of fascinated me. So.
Yeah. And that was like, what was? Do you remember what was the first like horror movie? I know you said you watched like serial killer kind of movies, but do you remember which exact movie it was?
It was Chucky.
Oh, same! Literally same!
Child's Play 2.
I don't remember which one it was, but when I was like, I've said this previously, but I'm just gonna repeat myself. But when I was younger, I watched Chucky, and that was my first ever movie, and that was again, like I said last time.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's so cool. But like I remember bits and pieces of it and stuff like that. But like obviously when I was younger, I was terrified of it.
Oh yeah, I threw out all my dolls because of that movie.
Yeah, same. I did not want any dolls. I was more of a stuffed animal person.
Yep.
Never ever in my entire life I do not like dolls.
Yep,
because of that reason.
Like till this day, I'm still a little scarred from Chucky because he's kind of hard to get out of your head. So
yeah. Another question I was going to ask you before we go and dive into what we're going to be talking about today. What is your favorite horror movie and your favorite do you have like a favorite case or a favorite serial killer or something? Like what's your favorite when you think of like creepy stuff, what's your favorite like story that you can think of that comes to mind?
Oh my goodness. There's so
well,
many.
why don't you just answer the horror movie part, and then we'll get into the
there's just
story.
So many that are like running through my head. It's just hard to pick one. But
I love list off a couple if you can.
I love the Insidious series.
Yeah,
that's
same.
a good one.
Yeah.
It's very like real, and like it's just kind of crazy to think that this happened to someone before. Also, Paranormal Activity. That was probably like the first ghost movie that I saw that I was like, oh my god, ghosts are awesome.
Yeah.
And like it like really freaks you out because you're like, oh my god, that could be real. Like that could happen to me type deals. So you're like, kind of creepy, right? Even though nothing that scary happens in some of them, but still.
It's just the impact of it, right?
Exactly.
You could because even some of the best horror movies, like no one dies in.
Yeah.
And it's literally just the fact that something is in there with them and they don't know. Like I don't remember which Paranormal Activity movie it was, but the part that like freaked me out was when they put the Xbox Connect.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that part?
I think
In one
so.
of them, and they so that what they did was they took the Xbox Connect and did something with it so the light reflected onto the wall from the Connect, so it had like all these dots.
Oh yes,
that's like
they use. I think that's the second one.
Yeah, they because like in the Connect they use those dots to kind of
like,
find
see.
you and like
make you
into the game kind of thing, sense you.
Yeah.
And so they did that, and they were obviously recording because the movie's like a found footage kind of thing, and like there's just like a figure, and you can only see it in the camera. You couldn't see, obviously they couldn't see it in real life, but when they were watching it back, they could just see this figure literally like walking back and forth in the little dots kind of thing, which is one of my favorite parts in this movie series.
Because you can actually like put like a it's actually something.
Yeah, and it's something that like a lot of people use too, right? So. Sorry, people definitely came in, so it distracted me. But yeah, so yeah, it was one of my that was one of my favorite parts. Because again, it's something that anyone can access, kind of thing. It obviously connects, so it's video game based and stuff like that. So it's really interesting and all that. So.
Yeah, it's cool how like ghosts can become like poltergeists and kind of like possess our technology.
Yeah,
and like because they're electromagnetic energy, right? So
yeah.
they can like. So it's cool that you can actually like see them almost through things like that.
So while we've been talking about it, have you thought of like one of your favorite cases? Like for example, mine is probably like if I have to pick a favorite serial killer, it's probably John Wayne Gacy. Favorite case is there's this case where a man was found on the beach and there's no trace of who he is or nothing. Again, we'll talk about that more later on in the podcast. Like probably not this episode, but later on. It's a very interesting case. But do you have one that you like?
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
I do. So when I was younger, I would always go to Poland every summer, and my other cousin that's in Poland, she's also kind of crazy about all these ghost stories and stuff like that. And have you ever heard of the exorcism of Emily Rose?
Yes.
Okay, so her name, Emily Rose, is actually Annalisa Rose, I'm pretty sure. And it's based on a true story. And it's it has like a religious factor to it. That's why like my grandparents knew about it and like everyone, because it happened like right after World War II.
Did it happen in Poland?
No, it happened in Germany.
Germany? Okay.
Yeah, and I'm not sure I think she was German as well.
Okay.
There's a German priest involved, and basically one day, Mary appeared to her and gave her the option, basically told her that a lot of people died, a lot of souls died during World War II. Would you like to save them?
Oh, okay.
And if you do, you're gonna have to sacrifice your body, type deal. Yeah.
Jeez.
And she told her everything that would happen to her. She's 7 demons will enter your body, and because a demon doesn't want to be in a person.
Yeah.
If they're forced to it. But if they're not, then they want to be. It's not it's not a punishment for them. So because and then after Mary suggested this to her, Annalisa, it took 3 days to give her answer, and she's like, yes, I'll do it for the greater good of the world. She told her your soul is saved and everything, so she agreed to it, and that was the craziest possession I think recorded till this day.
That's so interesting.
They have a lot of evidence. They actually talk to the demons. I'm pretty sure that some of the demons include Hitler. Yeah, Hitler was there.
Wow.
The 2 brothers from earlier in the Bible, the one brother that killed, what are their names?
I don't know anything about the Bible.
Oh,
I'm not religious whatsoever.
Cain and Abel, those 2. So the one killed his brother, so he is a demon, and he was in there. I think Lucifer was there too, but there were 7 demons that were put into her basically for punishment, like to punish the demons. And that's why she like sacrificed her body.
Wow.
Yeah, and this went on for I think a good year. Yeah, and then finally, like the priest was with her all the time, and like I forget what his name is, but this really stuck with me because they actually made a movie. It came out
I've seen
2008 or 2007. It's kind of close to, but they didn't cover everything, like from the story that I know. And I actually heard the actual recordings from like the real stuff. It was like off this website, like way back when. My cousin like found it. She had it on her computer, and like we had like a good listen. It was the creepiest thing I've ever heard in my life, and I will never ever forget what I heard on those tapes.
What did you hear? Like what kind of thing? Like did because you said that the demons took over her, right? Like Hitler and all that.
Yeah. So
did they like?
They hated it. It was literally, you heard demons in pain. It was crazy. Like, you know how they redo like what a demon could sound like in movies and stuff?
Yeah.
So it was basically like screams, like it sounded like it was like from hell basically. And like the priest was like asking it questions, and it was just nuts. Like,
was there a way to tell? Because you said there was like how many was there? Seven.
Yeah.
Was there a way to like tell,
distinguish which one is like? Yeah, they would.
Can you tell between like Hitler, between like Lucifer and?
They would play games.
Oh really?
Yeah, so they would be deceiving. Obviously, demons lie, right?
Yeah.
So they would play tricks and stuff so that they can entertain themselves, basically. So they would obviously they would turn the tables on the priest or whoever was talking to them, and like say that like make you feel guilty, use whatever guilt you have against you, basically. So, yeah, it was pretty cool. But like the priest was strong, and that's why like he performed an exorcism, and I think she died like 7 months aftermath.
Wow. Just from the stress and stuff like that.
Just because she never came back, she never went back to normal, and like she was just kind of like a vegetable after.
Oh my gosh.
So.
Yeah, well, 7 demons inside you.
Yeah, she was only 17, I think, when this happened to her. So, yeah, she's really young.
Yeah, because they never covered any of that in the movie. It was just...
Yeah, no, and she was, like, she was very ambitious, and she was sick. She had, like, a chronic disease that she always had to treat, but she was always, like, really good with children, and, like, she was just basically very innocent, a very good person, and that's kind of, like...
what they feed off of.
Yeah, exactly. So she was like the perfect vessel for them to be punished, to be forced into, basically. So,
well,
it's kind of crazy.
Well, like, and like the thing, in the movie, didn't they modernize?
Yeah, they modernized the whole thing. Like it
wasn't it like kind of like present day kind of thing.
Yeah, like Emily Rose isn't her name, right? So they just kind of like used that idea
and just based it
off. And
then
just based it off. Like it wasn't like it's not like a documentary, like a biography off of what actually happened. I think they just used like the idea.
Like inspiration for it?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, because I remember wasn't she like in a college or something, like in a...
Yeah, she was. She was like...
So I remember the scene where she was in her room and like she just like would just wake up
and it was like in
somewhere.
Recent times.
Yeah,
so.
That's interesting. Yeah, because they didn't talk about like I don't think they talked about this. Like it's been a long time since I've seen the movie.
No, they don't mention any of it.
Yeah.
No. Actually, maybe they do. Maybe they refer back to like cases because you know how it's all like. They're like it's like a case. And, like they're trying to like figure out what actually happened. So I think they do refer back to like certain cases, and I think that actually might be one of them. But obviously names changed and everything. So.
Yeah. It's interesting. All right. Well, since we're kind of warmed up a little bit now, so we're gonna talk about Paulina's going to talk about, because I don't have any ghost experiences whatsoever except like the cheesy, like, oh, I was visited in my room or visited in my dreams or something like that. So Paulina has made me aware that she actually has a couple ghost stories for herself because she worked in...
I worked at the Fairmont in Banff Springs, and it's kind of known as to be one of the most haunted places in Canada, and I didn't believe it. But I loved being there all the time. It always felt very spiritual. There's a lot of history in the building. And it's just a great place to be, to visit anytime. But, so I worked there.
Yeah, how did you like get a job there?
So I was in the middle of figuring out my school, and I didn't know what to do with myself. So I was basically like, I had a boyfriend out there at the time, so I was like, why not just go for it? So like, how bad can mountains be, right? So I got a housekeeping job there. And so I was literally living like in the hotel. I was in all the rooms all the time, right?
That's so cool.
So I was like firsthand, like experiencing everything, like what's going on behind closed doors type deal. And it was very exciting. Hard work though.
Yeah.
Don't recommend housekeeping because it was not fun.
Yeah, my sister does that as a job. She does housekeeping for a retirement home.
Yeah, I used to house clean, and I thought that was bad until I went to Fairmont. So, but anyway, it was worth it. It was worth being there for how long I was. So it was okay. So basically, half of the hotel burnt down in the 20s for like an insurance policy, and they had to do it like it was a fire that they made happen basically. And they had to make it like a surprise so that
seemed like it was an accident.
Exactly. Kind of and there was like people in the hotel still when this went down. And
was there like a reason
for the fire?
Yeah.
Basically, the hotel was built backwards by accident in the like when they first built it in 1910, I think, something like that. And so they wanted to get insurance money so they can put it back the way it's supposed to be type deal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they decided a fire would be the best bet, right?
Yeah.
Because who's going to investigate a fire in the 20s, right?
Yeah.
So that's what they went for, and there was like over 100 deaths unrecorded. Yeah, and it's pretty crazy. So I actually worked in the wing that burnt down.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I was on the second floor, and I had my own section, so I was there every day in the same section all the time. And I swear these two rooms at the very end of the hallway, I always felt like something was watching me, even though I was always by myself. But I always heard things and just really creepy vibes, and I'm like, no way, like, it's not happening. And like, whenever I would get like phone calls at work that were like super important, like family related or just like emergency wise, I always ended up being in those two rooms.
That's so weird. That's so interesting, yeah.
Like, if I look back now, I'm like, I'm always in that one room whenever I get, like, really important phone calls.
Yeah.
So, most of the girls never really liked working in that section, but I was fine with it because I'm like, I've never seen a ghost before. Like, I'm not going to see one now, you know? So I was like, I was fine with it. But then one day, one of my friends was cleaning my section for me, and apparently handprints appeared on the mirror for her.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Nope.
And so she did the exact same thing and ran after me and was like, dude, there is handprints on the mirror, and I am not kidding you. They just appeared, and I washed it like 4 times. They're still there, and they will not go away.
Did you go and see them, or did you just like, no?
So obviously, I'm like, okay, girl, like, we gotta check this out.
Yes,
man. Like,
yes.
But we were too scared to go on our own, so we got my supervisor to come with us, and he was like this creepy Indian dude. So like, he was great, and like, so he's like, I'm not scared of nothing, right?
Yeah.
So he goes in there, and like, I followed him because she was refusing to go back in there.
Yeah.
And like, we look at the mirror. Handprints.
Oh my God,
they're gone, and we're like, you're crazy, girlfriend, right? Like, obviously, like, she just made this up.
Oh my God.
So we leave, and like, we're fine. 5 minutes later, she's in there by herself because she was just fixing up the room, like whatever she had left in there.
Yeah.
Handprints came back, and her iPod turned music on because we used to have little iPods that we worked with. So no music is on that iPod. And like, randomly, Mumford & Sons comes on, and like, it's the creepiest, like, saddest song in the whole wide world. Yeah.
No.
And it starts playing on her work iPod, and like, she just runs out of there. Those handprints are back. Like, she's like, I'm done. I'm out of here, man.
Oh my God.
And like, I come back this time, and I'm like, I have to see this for myself. And I actually saw those handprints this time. Yeah. And like, I tried cleaning them off. They were not coming off whatsoever.
Oh, that's so cool.
So that's just like a little beginner story.
Okay.
So there is another story that there's a lady in the 40s. She was staying at the hotel at 457, room 457, and she had a little baby with her, a newborn. I think he was like 3 weeks old or something like that. And she was going to take a bath with him. You know how you take baths with like infants? You fill up the water like this much in the tub and like...
So they don't like drown or
exactly.
and stuff like that.
So this lady was waiting for a really important phone call.
Uh-oh.
And she was already in the bath with the infant, and the phone starts ringing. She gets up.
Oh my God, no.
To get the phone, and by the time she comes back, the baby's passed away. It's drowned already.
Oh my God.
Yeah, right? So a tiny little baby drowned in the tub. And as employees, we had to be given this information because we need to be aware of all the like murders and things like that happened, like deaths and things at the hotel. There's people know that the hotel is haunted.
Because can't people like sue?
Yes,
if they don't get told.
Well, like people that work there.
Yeah, because
they sign waivers or they sign contracts that when they get the hotel room that it's fine type deal. But we weren't allowed to tell guests or people about this incident because it was really creepy and no one would want to stay there. Who would want to stay in a room where a baby? Like only creepy fanatics would want to stay in that room, but not like family. Yeah, exactly. But not like families and
that have babies.
And like so that we needed to keep on the down low. Probably shouldn't be telling you this right now.
Oh,
but,
whatever.
But there was like a bunch of like other ghost stories that like they drew like the public's attention to, so that they don't know the real stories that actually happened, like the fire. Nobody talks about the fire, or like the baby. No one ever talks about that. There's like this one ghost story that they told about that happened on the 8th floor, but that never happened. They were saying that a guy in the 70s murdered his family in one of the rooms on the 8th floor, but that never happened.
Why? Just for
publicity, I guess, so that they draw away from like where the actual incidents happened, I guess. I don't know, but
wouldn't it make more sense to like highlight the parts that actually happened?
It would make sense so that people know. But I mean, I think it might be different now because a couple more incidents have happened.
Really?
Including one to me, and I think that actually might have started it.
Okay.
So, with the baby room, I never cleaned on the 4th floor. I always cleaned on the 2nd floor. That was my section, like I mentioned before. And this one day, I finished early, and this room, 457, needed to be cleaned. And this was like a good year and a half since I've been there for, and I've never stepped foot in that room since I've started there. I've been in every single other room in the hotel, and there's quite a bit of rooms, but never in that one. I always refused to. My boss even knew very well that I do not want to go into that room. I am very creeped out by it, and I do not want to go in there. I don't want to have anything to do with it.
I don't blame
stories.
You.
I'm like, I don't want to, So, and my boss was a huge ghost fanatic as well. He like always decorated the whole hotel like for Halloween. He was in charge of that. So he just loved that he was a director of housekeeping because there's ghosts everywhere type deal. So he was like, just do it. And I'm like, okay, I can't fight with you, so I'm not going to win this one. So basically he sent me in there with another girl. So the first thing that we would always do when we started cleaning a room, because this room is big and has stairs, so the first thing we would do is just kind of look around, like see what needs to be cleaned and stuff, and like these guests were super dirty and they partied all weekend, I think, and there's like bottles everywhere. Like you could tell this was an adult party.
Yeah.
And she was like looking in the bedroom area. I was looking upstairs and in the bathroom area. And I go into the bathroom. Everything's fine, just really dirty. I'm like, oh my God, we're never gonna clean this or whatever. Okay, and like, so I grab like a garbage bag to start taking all the garbage out. And like, this is the second time I go into the bathroom, and I look into the bathtub.
Oh, no.
And I find a baby sock
No.
And it was like a black, tiny little baby sock. Like, babies these days would never have a sock like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it was like, you could tell that it was like wool and like just super old looking. And I'm like, am I crazy right now? Like, is this real life? Like, are you serious?
No.
So, like, before I start freaking out, I'm like, I go to my supervisor, like the guy that's on the floor, and I'm like, hey, man, like, has there been any families staying in this room? Like, when was the last time you had
maybe
like, a
someone
baby?
forgot it or something, yeah.
He's like, oh, it's been at least like a good 3 months since the family stayed here. I'm like,
no.
I'm like, are you serious right now? So I told him about that, and then I go to the girl that was helping me clean the room, and I'm like, girl, you need to come see this. And I show her the sock in the bathtub. She didn't even say anything. She just booked it out of there and was like, you can finish cleaning that yourself. And I'm like, what the heck, man? Like, what am I supposed to do now? So I was forced to clean that room.
Oh, my gosh.
And, like, I didn't know what to do with that sock.
Yeah.
Like, but my supervisor was too scared to touch it. So I had to touch it. I took pictures of it and everything. I have pictures of it. It's just not on me. But, yeah, I saw pictures of it. And, like, everybody came in. Everyone on the floor, like, came in and, like, checked it out and was like, oh, my God, that's crazy.
That is sick.
Like, what are the chances of that happening?
Yeah.
You know, like, a baby sock. Why did these people have a baby sock? You know what I mean? Like,
there's no reason for them to have a baby sock.
The first time I went in there to check out the place, there was no sock. It was the second time.
It just showed up.
Yeah. The second time I went in there to look, I'm like, there's a freaking baby sock in the tub. Like, why is it in the tub? You know?
Yeah.
Like, what are the chances? So who knows where that, like, what happened with that? But that was really creepy.
Yeah.
And ever since, everyone's been, like, kind of even more, like, you know, on guard for that room.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, like, I'm not crazy, you know, that room's got something going on in there.
Yeah.
So my third story at the hotel.
Oh, gosh.
This is when I actually encountered a ghost.
Yes.
So, as I mentioned before, I was those two rooms that were in my section that I always felt were really haunted. The exit to, like, the balcony, like the
balcony,
the exit for the hallway to go outside was, like, right there, like, was the next door because it was at the very end of the hallway. And I was cleaning one of the rooms, and I think I was vacuuming. It was like I was already finished cleaning that room, and then I always left that door open because who knows, like, I never wanted to have a door closed when I was in there, so I always had the door open.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, exactly. And I was just, like, passing the doorway, and all of a sudden, like, something caught my eye, like, you know, when something, like, you just see something moving, but you're not looking at it, you just see it in your peripherals. Yeah. So that's what happened, and I look at the doorway, and there's literally a man standing, like, in the doorway, looking at me, like, I don't belong here. Yeah. And he was wearing, like a hat thing, like it almost looked like a top hat, like it was kind of old looking. He had, like, a purple suit, super weird, and stared at me for, like, a good 7 seconds. Like, I made eye contact and everything.
No.
And then it just, like, walked right through the exit door. Like, the door did not open. It just walked right through it. And I just, like, died. I was like, what? Did that just happen? Like, it was so fast, so random. I was like, am I crazy right now? Like, am I hungover or something? You know? I'm like, this is not happening. Yeah. So, definitely saw a ghost for a good 10 seconds, and he was like, I think it was confused.
Yeah, he's like, what is going on?
Me. Maybe he thought I was a ghost.
Yeah, maybe.
So,
yeah, he maybe doesn't know that he's dead or something.
There is rumors that apparently there's a bellman that died in the hotel, and he worked in the hotel since he was 14. Wow. He died, like, old age, still working at the hotel. And then apparently he still roams the hallways sometimes. So I'm thinking maybe that was him.
Yeah, maybe. Because sometimes they do have, like, weird colored, like, outfits
and
for
like, he was wearing a suit, but it was, like, not from this day and time. That's
Yeah.
for sure. So
Yeah, it was
super
purple.
weird.
And
Yeah.
That's not a normal
Nope.
color for like a.
Oh, and he
outing.
had the biggest mustache. Like it was massive, huge, just like crazy.
That's awesome.
So yeah, not very creepy, but still ghost.
Yeah. Okay, so the next thing that we'll be talking about, which I'm very excited for, is some spontaneous human combustion.
Oh my gosh.
These, when I first started listening about these, 'cause I watched videos and stuff like that about these, I did not believe it. I was like, this can't be real. This can't actually be a thing. But it's also really interesting.
Oh, like, it's real.
It is real because there's multiple cases that are very similar, and I have information about each case. So what we're gonna do is I already talked to Paulina about what we're doing, but just for the viewers, so I'll be reading about the case, and then we'll be talking about it, and I'll read a case, talk about it, read a case, blah blah blah. And also, like I've said in my previous podcast, I got this information from io9.gizmodo.com. That's the link. Because I always like to credit the information I get because I don't want to be copyrighted or whatever.
Exactly.
Don't want to step on anyone's toes.
Safe.
So yes, so the first case, which is the most recent case, it was in September 2011 in Ireland. People found the body of an elderly man. His head was near a furnace. Furnace was not the source, like it was not on or anything. So there's no possible way that the furnace had started the combustion. No accelerant on body, so like no gasoline or whatever, something to induce, maybe it was like a spark or something. There's nothing.
Nothing to make a fire.
Yeah, to make a fire and produce a fire, and no evidence of foul play. So he just
was chilling.
Yeah,
and
just chilling.
It just happened.
Yeah. There's burn marks on the floor and the ceiling, directly below and above the body, but no burn marks anywhere else in the house. Not even on the furnace. Literally under his body and above. That's
interesting.
Because you would think that if the furnace caught on fire and it was the source of it, it would be.
You'd see it on the furnace.
You would have a burn mark on the furnace.
Yeah, you'd see the whole trail.
Yeah.
Where the fire came from.
And it would spread around, not just under the body and just on the roof or the ceiling. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. So it just makes sense that it was he that combusted.
Yeah. Which is so I don't understand. There's no scientific. There's no scientific.
This is next level stuff. This is not. I mean, it physically happened. It can't scientifically happen.
Yeah.
Technically,
And there's no I don't think there's an actual way to prove it through science because obviously it just happens. You can't be like, oh, this person's gonna combust and.
Well, if you think about it, meditation makes you, gives you enlightens you basically.
Yeah.
And to a point of a certain enlightenment, you can make your body do crazy physical things. Some people can heal people. Some people can go 80 years without eating food or drinking water type deal.
Yeah, because there's that case where the guy was literally just chilling by a tree meditating, and he literally.
And then he just disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And he didn't die. He didn't die of starvation or anything.
Yeah, exactly. So this people combusting into fire could be that case too.
Yeah.
But from what I'm hearing, most likely this guy was not meditating.
Yeah.
And
It just happened.
It just happened.
Yeah.
So my other theory is that have you ever heard of crossroad demons?
No.
So basically, it usually happens at a crossroads, but a demon approaches you and asks you, what are your deepest desires? I can make them happen if you give me your soul.
Okay.
Type deal. And a lot of people go for it because who doesn't want to be rich and famous, right?
Yeah.
So I think that some of these deals, bargains, can go wrong.
Yeah.
And maybe this demon just decided that it was his time to be combusted into flames.
Maybe.
I
don't know.
Or could be witchcraft.
That too. Maybe. Could be. So another one, I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cases. Obviously, we're on the fifth one. So the case is called the gruesome details case. So this was in the 1700s. It was Countess Cornelia de Bundi. I apologize if I mispronounce anything. I'm not like the best at pronouncing stuff.
That's okay. It's totally fair.
Especially if it's like from a different country. I'm horrible. So the body was found halfway between the bed and the window one morning. Everything was burnt except her lower legs and 3 fingers. 2 candles were burned, but the wicks were completely unburned.
Interesting.
And soot covered the room. That's it. Soot. Nothing else.
Yeah.
Just soot. Not like
so
burn
no burn
marks.
marks.
Just soot.
Yeah. So it was around.
And if you
the
were
flame
to
didn't touch the ground, like because her legs were still intact, so
yeah, and her 3 fingers, but everything else was burnt.
Yeah.
It wouldn't just be like, all right, peace, bye. I'm leaving your fingers in your leg, your lower legs.
And 3 fingers, most likely is a mockery of the Holy Trinity.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I'm pretty sure that that's probably demonic or some evil.
Maybe.
Because like, what are the chances of 3 fingers?
Yeah.
Because
and her lower legs. That's it.
But
everything else was burned.
Yeah. So I definitely think a demon had something to do with this one.
Maybe demons are the reason for everything.
Honestly, I think so.
Okay, so the next case. So this was the first ever case known to man.
Okay.
To this day. So it was again. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna totally butcher this name. It was Paulina Vorst. I don't know how to pronounce that. Do you know?
Vorst.
It's Vorstius. Vortius? Vortius? Vortius?
Yeah.
Vortius?
Yeah, Vortius.
Yeah, whatever. It's a
sounds
name.
Polish.
Yeah, it's a name. He was an Italian knight. It was in the late 1400s. He consumed 2 ladles of very strong wine. And then people, because he was around a bunch of people, people say he immediately vomited flames and then bursted into flames.
What did he drink?
2 ladles of very strong wine. And he started, like, releasing faint flames from his mouth and then just burst it into flames.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then people were still baffled to this day.
Yeah, I mean, I'd understand moonshine, but wine?
Yeah.
Maybe
strong
wine.
Strong wine.
Maybe the wine was like on the same, category as moonshine back then.
Maybe.
Who knows?
It was the 1400s, but anything can happen.
Yeah, maybe they didn't know how to make wine properly yet.
Yeah, maybe it was like a poison that we don't know about.
Exactly. Yeah, that could be very possible.
I don't know.
Somebody probably didn't like him.
Yeah, maybe. Well, he said there's in the article or the list that I got it from. He said that he was around like a bunch of people, so maybe he was like at a party or something.
If it was a public thing, then
yeah. All right, and then the next one is the 2 disappearances case. Jeanette
Kazmierczyk.
Whatever you just said. It was France in the 1970s. Her husband went mysteriously missing. A few days later, neighbor found Jeanette's body except her legs. Son was out with friends. She was reduced to ash, and apartment was undisturbed.
What the heck?
Yeah.
So wait.
So the husband just disappeared out of nowhere for no reason. And then a few days after her husband went missing, her neighbor found her, like her body, except her legs, and she was reduced to ash.
That's very weird.
And the apartment was undisturbed. So there was no flame or no burn marks in the apartment. It was just her.
Maybe he hired a hitman.
Maybe. But if it was like natural terms, if like she just lit her on fire, Why would he go through the trouble? Well, even
lighting someone on fire.
Yeah, and then trying to put them out, and then but even to the point of getting to ash, reduced to ash, you would have to be like completely on fire. Yeah, right? Exactly. And if you're completely on fire,
and then you randomly stop at your legs.
Yeah. And then or it doesn't even because obviously you're gonna be flailing around. You're not just gonna lay there for like a normal person wouldn't just lay there and be like, all right, this is happening. Yeah. If you're getting lit on fire, even if you're being held down or anything, you would still try to flail and try to get out of the situation. Out. Yeah, and put yourself out. Drop and roll. You would be squirming, and even if you're laying on the ground or standing, something will catch on fire. If you're in an apartment, especially because it says the apartment was undisturbed. If you were even in an apartment, which all depending on how big the apartment, but still, apartments are usually small, right? Like even if you were in an apartment, you would still be in distance of something, and it would just catch on fire.
Sounds fishy to me. The fact that her husband left right before this happened.
Yeah.
Almost like he knew something was coming.
Yeah, or maybe he didn't want, or maybe he knew something about it, or I don't know.
Or maybe she got into some crazy shit and found out about it, and he didn't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, maybe he's like into like devil worship or something.
Yeah, maybe she was. Or when did this happen again?
The 1970s in France.
Oh. Interesting.
Yeah. So the next one is the fire inside case. So it was coming from outside, like coming from inside the person and going outside, which is one of the ones that we were talking about before. So it was England, 1967. A passenger on a bus noticed blue flame in an apartment window hallway while they were driving by. So he called the fire department. And there was a body of a homeless man named Robert Francis Bailey, and someone slit the man's abdomen, and blue flames were coming out of the slit.
Interesting.
Like coming out, like flames coming out of his throat.
You know what this kind of reminds me of? Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
So apparently, the way Freddy Krueger became was because a demon of dreams came to him and gave him the power to kill people through dreams.
Yeah, and the parents that he killed and molested his kids,
Yeah, well, that's how he died, right?
Yeah, how he died. Yeah.
So, I think that maybe this guy got killed in his dream.
Maybe. I don't know. You never know. Yeah. And then the last case that we have from my research, obviously there's probably tons and tons of more, is the witness case. So a mentally disabled woman lived with her father. Father saw a flash out of the corner of his eye, turned around to see that his daughter was on fire, and she was sitting quietly in a chair. Just on fire, sitting in a chair, just chilling. I'm on fire, don't mind me. Father tried to put out the flames, but just got burns on his hands, and she just went into a coma and then died.
And she didn't struggle or anything?
No, she was just chilling.
Definitely possessed.
Yeah. Well, if she was mentally ill, like had a mental illness kind of thing, maybe. You never know.
Or got diagnosed wrong and was probably possessed.
Well, a lot of people, I know it didn't say what time, when it was, like what year it was.
Okay, yeah.
But like a lot of like mental cases were considered as possessions and stuff like that. Yeah. Back in the day. Because they didn't know like the proper.
What else it could be?
Yeah. And, like they didn't know the proper diagnosis and stuff like that. And I don't know if there's like anything.
It could be a mixture of both.
Yeah. And I don't know if there's anything to do. It has anything to do with. I know because I have heard there's a disorder where you can't feel pain.
Yeah, there is.
I just don't know like the actual term for it. I don't know if that's like it coincides with like mental illness. Could be. Of why she just like chilled there while she was on fire.
Yeah, you know what? I think there is actually a mental illness like close to schizophrenia that like you don't feel any pain anymore, and that's why. Yeah. You have to feel like.
But the another thing is if like obviously like the dad was probably taking care of her
Mhm.
because she's mentally disabled.
Yeah.
I'm guessing with mental illness there could be multiple other reasons. But just from the just kind of guessing, I'm maybe like he was taking care of her obviously. She was mentally disabled.
Maybe the dad didn't, just twisted the story.
Maybe, because like how if
Maybe he was
if
taking
you're
care of her.
if you're taking care of your mentally disabled like daughter,
Mhm.
how like I would be having my eye on that person just in case they do something wrong.
Yeah.
Or just like try to harm themselves
No,
or
I
something.
think I've heard a story like this before where like the child's death seems like an accident.
Yeah, but
it's
actually
really just the parent trying to get rid of their kid because
Yeah.
they're sick and tired of taking care of
Yeah,
them.
but then like again, it didn't really go into much detail of like
what happened.
How it happened. It was just literally he just saw a flash in the corner of his eye and she was on fire. And she was just chilling.
Yeah.
But like again, my point was like if the father was looking after her,
why didn't he do anything?
Yeah, why?
faster?
Like obviously he tried to help. Like he tried to put out the flames.
Yeah, but who knows
like,
how true that is?
Yeah, but also like, if how even if we're trying to think it rationally, like if your kid is like your daughter, obviously again it didn't say the age or anything, but when I think about it, I think of like a young girl kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Could be an older lady, whatever. It's just the thing that pops into my head when I think about this about this case.
Mm-hmm.
Is if you're taking care of your kid that's mentally disabled, again, thinking of it rationally, I would keep anything that could be harmful to that person.
Like baby-proof it.
Yeah, baby-proof the house kind of thing.
Yeah.
And not out of disrespect of...
For their safety.
It's just for their safety.
Yeah.
So, again, thinking of it in a rational sense of like, keep matches, keep lighters, anything. But if I know sometimes, like, because we're all human, right? We make mistakes, right?
Yeah, it could be just an honest
mistake. It could have been like he literally was not even thinking, and he left the lighter while he was smoking or something. I don't know the life story of these people.
Then, clothes were a lot more flammable
too
than what we have now.
Yeah.
Even though our clothes are still pretty flammable, and if they were even more, then I mean, I'm not surprised people did just randomly combust. So,
yeah, but she's just chilling in a chair.
I know, again, which is just strange, but
yeah. Which kind of seems like it was kind of hinting that there's no way or nothing around her to invoke that. Kind of like the story of where the guy was just chilling by the furnace, but
and like
the furnace
the fact that she gets
part of it.
engulfed in complete flames like right away.
Yeah, and the father can't, and there's no possible way of like the father putting out the flames, kind of thing. Yeah, and she just goes in a coma. Not even the fact that she just dies from the flames because she literally just got engulfed with flames. It's because of coma and then she died.
Well, you know what? Comas also, that's a way of ghosts coming to talk to us.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Actually, sleep is like a little preview to death.
Really?
Yeah,
that's interesting.
That? Yeah.
Oh.
So
never really thought about that way.
Yeah. Well, you know the saying like you can always make heaven or hell on earth type deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's all up to you on how happy you are and what your subconscious shows you because of how you're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why ghosts have access to that. Like you're basically like in the spirit world when you're dreaming, or you could be, or they can have access to you because it's your subconscious. Like it's your, same with theirs. That's why like when you like you can evict a demon out of you, like out of your subconscious, if you're like a dream traveler or whatever, you can like go into your dream and be like, kick this demon out type deal. And during a coma, you're extra connected because you're
all your senses,
out. So,
all your senses are into one place, kind of thing.
Yeah, but you're not completely dead yet. So like you're still like there.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like there was probably something demonic here.
Yeah.
Something evil was happening here. She was definitely taking a stroll in like the spirit world. Something was going on here because it doesn't make sense that she wouldn't just die. So
yeah, because like it said, she just went into a coma and died. Not died from the burn marks, nothing like
usually
that.
when like strange comas happen like this, that just means that there's some business that you have to get done in the spirit world before you actually die. So
That's interesting. All right, so since we're done, really, 'cause those were all the cases. Another thing that we wanted to talk about was creepy kid stories. Also, if you hear like, I don't know if you can hear this, but if you hear like a ripping, it's I'm taking post-it notes off the notes that I've written out. I don't want I just because I know if I were a viewer, I'd be like, "What the heck is that noise?" kind of thing.
Right.
So I'm just letting you guys know. So the next thing we're going to be talking about, so it's going to be again the same kind of format of I'm going to read a little bit of a story and then we're going to tell our thoughts. Now for the creepy kid story, let me just quickly count. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of these, and I got these again. Trying to cover my ass up about this. I got it from thoughtcatalog.com. It was like a list. It was kind of like a BuzzFeed list of like the top 10 creepy or top 20 creepy kid story things. So, anyways, we'll start. So the first one is The Other Man Watches. So my 5-year-old nephew and I were really close, and he loves playing toys with me. So ever since I started college, I really see him. So when I do, he wants to do whenever I'm around is play toys all the time. So this caused this bad habit of going into my room in the morning before I wake up and playing in there, and sometimes staring at me until I wake up. So we immediately start playing. I've told him before that he can't do this, but he doesn't listen. So this Thanksgiving break, he did it again, and I asked him why he keeps doing it, despite me telling him not to, because usually he's really good at listening and not doing things we tell him not to. He replied, "I don't think it's fair that I can't be in your room when you're sleeping, but the other man can watch you all night long," before immediately running out of the room yelling it wasn't fair. Needless to say, now it takes me significantly longer to fall asleep at my house.
Yeah, no, that's not okay.
Yeah. That's just like, let's just be like, oh yeah, there's a serial killer in your room, bye. Like, that's, obviously, like, kids don't know, because he was 5.
Yeah.
But, like, still.
Kids have this, like, a gift, basically. We're all born with it as young kids, like, you know. We're still kind of oblivious to like emotions and feelings and stuff like that. So they have like a very simple thinking. And because of that, they're more prone to seeing things that aren't there. And that's why a lot of kids see things like see ghosts and stuff and are able to talk to them and communicate because they don't know what it is. So they're not,
inclined to be like, get away from me kind of thing and try to
and they're also very innocent, and I know that ghosts feed off fear, but innocence is like their cherry, like their candy. So that's why they choose to show themselves to children faster than anything else, because once a child is fear, like once it is scared, goes kind of cuckoo bananas a lot more than people, like adults do. So
but I also know that like we're going a little off topic about talking about but whatever, it doesn't matter. But like I also hear that like, because again from going back to the whole like paranormal activity, don't ghosts also like feed off of like stress and like stuff
definitely.
like that with adults more?
And like if like adults hear a child is talking to a ghost, that obviously creates stress, and like it.
Sorry, there's people running down the hall, so I apologize for stomping in the background. We're at the school, so.
Yeah, so that's why ghosts like children to be their target, because they can manipulate that in so many different ways and cause problems in the home and things like that, right? To make them stronger, so.
Yeah. Anyways, so we'll just go on to the next one. So the next one is I Died Mom. So the other night I was warning my daughter about choking on something. She asked if she would die. I was kind of shocked by the question, but she said, could. But she said she could, or get really sick and have to go to the hospital. Sorry. The rest I'll tell in her words. I died, Mom, like this, then laid on the floor and made a horrible gasping and gurgling sounds. Edit, like a death rattle. I got hit right there, right. I got hit right here. Sorry. Showed me her stomach, pointing right above her belly button. It was a big cut. Then I fell and I died. She laid on the floor and made the weird sounds again. Then a big man put a string on my belly button, and then I was Alex. Jumped up and did a move like a magician does after an act. Then I had a mommy again. All I could do was just stare at her, just flabbergasted by her story. I couldn't think of anything she would have seen anything close to this from. So I asked her dad. He couldn't think of anything either and suggested it might be a kind of a past life memory. I'm really not sure what to think about this, and I'm even more confused about how a 3-year-old came up with such a descriptive story, especially the stabbing part.
Oh yeah, she was definitely reincarnated and just remembered her past life.
Yeah.
Which happens to people.
Yeah. And especially when kids like there was that movie.
Mm-hmm.
There and like just like a bunch of cases I've heard that like of kids be like, oh yeah, I was a war person.
Yeah,
in my past
exactly.
life and
that
blah,
one.
blah.
I've heard that too before.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, reincarnation is it's actually really popular. It happens. Yeah. I'd like to think to everyone, because obviously all the energy that was once created in the world, in the universe, can never be destroyed.
Yeah.
So the energy has to go somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm. But it's just so interesting how vivid like kids' memory, like the what did they call it, the past life memory.
Yeah, like it can come in a dream. You could just see something that'll remind you of something that you've done before.
Yeah, like kind of like a deja vu kind of thing.
Yeah,
but,
exactly. So.
But it's just so interesting. Like it also kind of sucks that like a kid had to
see that and remember it.
Yeah, and be like, yeah, I died.
I mean, I like to think that there's a reason for everything. So maybe there's a reason why God let her have that memory. Who knows?
Maybe. Yeah, it's really creepy. That's all.
Yeah, it is very creepy.
And then so the next one is that poor girl. When I was a pre-K teacher, I heard some pretty imaginative and strange things. I think the strangest thing was a little boy in my class had built something out of Legos and was very proud of it and excited to show me. Oh, that's awesome, I said. Can you tell me what it is? This is what the 5-year-old boy said. It's a tower. There's a girl inside, and there's no light, and there's no air. He trailed off as he looked up at me grinning.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
What does he mean by a little girl in there?
Yeah, it just says a tower, there's a girl inside, and there's no light, and there's no air.
So she's obviously dead.
Yeah, is it? Because it wouldn't be like a. Because the first thing when I think of no light and no air is like a coffin. But why a tower?
Maybe it's standing upward.
Maybe, and he's just. Oh yeah, maybe he doesn't know what a coffin is, so he just thinks it's a tower.
Yeah, maybe. Well, that's still weird.
Yeah, because it says there's a girl inside and there's no light and there's no air. That makes sense.
Yeah.
If it was like a coffin or something. Because it does have like the general shape of a tower, like it's tall and long.
Something like that, yeah.
Maybe. But still really creepy.
Yeah, like the fact that these kids have visions like this.
Yeah.
Like.
But it's good that they don't know what a coffin is. If that is what it is,
yeah, I
what he's
prefer
talking
tower.
about. Yeah. Yeah, I prefer. Yeah, like you said, I prefer tower. And then the next one is the other me is mean. My mother told me this story when I refused to put.
That makes me cringe.
Yeah. My mother told me this story when I refused to put a mirror up in my dorm room. I put it in my closet so I could shut the door on it and not see it unless I'm getting ready. When when I younger, great grammar.
Good job.
I didn't write these. I'm guessing when I was younger, about 6 or 7, I developed an aversion to mirrors. My mother said I'd throw tantrums about going to the bathroom and tell her, the other me is mean. She asked me what I meant, and I told her that one night I got up at 3:15. She said I was very sure to point out an exact time, and had gone to the bathroom. I told her when I was washing my hands, I looked up in my reflection. Other me, air quotes, was frowning and looked mad. Sorry for my stuttering. I also said that she leaned in close, like she was inspecting me through the mirror. My mother wrote it off as being sleepy and not understanding what I was seeing. Then she said that one night she had woken up with a terrible headache and just flipping the page, couldn't get back to sleep. So she decided to try a hot shower. The tension and pain eased, and she thought she'd be able to go back to sleep. She said she was getting dried off and dressed. She happened to glance at the mirror and saw her own reflection looking very angry and mad. She was frightened and didn't sleep that night at all. When she fled from the bathroom, she noticed the time on her clock was 3:15. She said she'd never been so scared. My mother is sensitive to these things, and felt it was a bad sign. After the incident, people who would come to our house as well as us would see shadows in the bathroom where they shouldn't be any. Whatever phenomenon this was, my father never experienced it. My mother was hesitant to tell me her story because she thought I would think she was insane. Apparently, my younger cousin has also encountered her own, air quote, other me when she stays with my mom.
So obviously the mirror is haunted in your bathroom.
Maybe it's kind of like a Bloody Mary kind of thing, kind of situation, maybe on those lines.
Mirrors are doors to the other side, right?
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe a spirit got stuck in there and it ended up being an evil one.
Yeah, because isn't there's a movie called Mirrors.
There's 2 movies.
There's 2 movies?
Yep, and I actually watched them like 2 weeks ago.
Really? I've only seen the first one. I didn't know there was a second one.
So it's basically the same idea. There's a demon stuck in the mirrors. You know what happened in the first movie where there's a girl that was possessed. She was like put into a psych ward because they thought she had a mental illness, but she was actually possessed.
Yeah.
And they stuck her in a room filled with mirrors, and they told her to sit there and look at herself until she got better. So I guess with all the anger that she had in her, got the demon out and put him into the mirrors, and that's how he stuck in there. So.
Oh. Yeah, I haven't seen that movie in a very long time, so I don't really remember a lot of it. But I remember like there's a demon being in it, and like it like would take over.
Yeah.
And like make the person kill themselves, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, and basically an evil me. It would take form of what you are.
Yeah.
So don't look in a mirror if it's haunted.
Yeah. Yeah. After seeing that movie, I literally could not go to the bathroom by myself for like 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, this was one of the movies like when I was younger I saw, and
This was me like in high school.
Oh yeah, like I probably saw it around the same time as you, and like I could not deal with mirrors. Honestly, one of my biggest fears. I've always been sensitive with mirrors, and just seeing that movie, like that one scene, I think, in the bathtub where her face gets like, that's the worst.
That was like, because I remember clearly watching a trailer for it, and that was one of the scenes that they showed in the trailer, and I was like, I need to see this movie, but I don't at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's so creepy.
It was very, very intense.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one is I picked you because you were sad. I have a 4-year-old daughter, almost 5. She is at best a chatterbox. She talks about wow, I can't talk today. She talks about lots of things that don't quite make sense, but she is extremely intelligent. My husband and I discussed the possibility of having a younger sibling with her and how she would feel about it. She said, I would be happy because your other baby will come back. I didn't understand what she meant and asked her to explain what she meant. Before I was here, they asked me to pick a mommy. I picked you. I asked her why, and she said, I picked you because you were sad. Your other baby got sick, and you were sad. I picked you to make you happy. I just started sobbing at that point. She said, I think that baby will come back and then we can have a boy baby too. This happened a few days ago. Our daughter does not know that I lost a little boy just before she was conceived. We've never mentioned it, and there's no possible way she could know. I'm still kind of freaked out sorry, but almost comforted. Oh my gosh,
Comforted.
comforted in a way. Maybe he will. Wow. Maybe he will pick me again. Jesus Christ, I can't speak. Anyways.
That happens.
Yeah.
Is that the end of the story?
Yeah.
So have you ever seen the movie Mr. Nobody?
No.
Great movie. I highly recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, there's a theory. I kind of believe in this theory personally, but that when you're a baby and you're in heaven about to be sent down to like a family or whatever to be born.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I believe that it's you don't get pregnant when you're ready. You get pregnant when your child is ready to be born.
Okay.
So I think that it's up to the babies to come to life, basically. Like when you get a random pregnancy, you're like, oh my god, I can't, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But really, it's time for that baby to be born, type deal. I like to think of it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently, before you're sent down to Earth, angels come and put a little like shush you, like put a finger on your lips, so that it makes you forget everything that you saw in heaven or wherever you are with these angels.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes some kids get missed, so they come to Earth knowing everything that was going on. So I think that this might have been one of those incidences.
That'd be interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, like, how else did she know?
Yeah. Yeah, because it says in the story that there was no possible way for her to know.
Yeah, exactly.
And she was 4 turning 5.
And she always had a lot to say, which I definitely think she's not taking out of nowhere. So.
Yeah. And she's very intelligent, which, again, could possibly
another
be
reason why she didn't get, the forgotten little thing. That's why we have these little things above our lips, like the 2 little lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently that's because of the angel finger. And people that don't have this means that the angel forgot about them.
That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's so interesting. Okay, so the next one is time out for baby. So I worked in a preschool. Creepy shit gets said and done all the time. The one that sticks out to me happened last year. There's a small kitchenette area in our classroom that the kids use during free time for playing house or whatever pretend games they think of. There was one little girl that I was keeping a close eye on, mostly because how withdrawn from the other kids she was. I noticed she was playing with a baby doll in the kitchenette, rocking it back and forth and singing to it. She then took the baby, shoved it into the play oven, and slammed the door shut. She turned around, looked straight at me, and said, "Sometimes bad babies go in timeout." The creepiest little girl voice I've ever heard before, smiling and running off. That one kind of shook me.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like, how does a kid get the idea to shove? Because obviously she was pretending that it was a real baby because she was rocking it and singing into it, and then all of a sudden she'd be like, "Nope, you're cooked. Bye."
I don't know, man. I'm stumped on this one.
Maybe she just saw like a TV show or something. I don't know.
Something like that.
That's crazy though.
Must have seen it somewhere.
Yeah. Well, from the story, they say that was like closed off and stuff like
exactly,
that.
So who knows?
Maybe she's crazy.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, so sorry, I'm rushing through these ones because there's a lot.
Yeah, that's okay.
So the next one is don't encourage them. My coworker's 4-year-old daughter always thought that the rattling of water pipes in the kitchen cupboards were white wolves, and the sound always scared her.
Interesting.
Yeah. One day she was sitting at the kitchen table and she said, "Mom, the white wolves aren't bad. They're our friends." Her mom encouraged the idea by saying, "Yes, the white wolves are protecting us. They are our friends." Then her daughter added in, "They're our friends, but not the man who crawls on the floor and stands by my bed." Nope.
Mm-mm.
Nope.
That's not your friend.
Nope.
Oh God.
I'd be like, Kate, you're gone.
Yeah.
Get out of my house.
I'm sure the wolves were like some kind of guardian angel.
Yeah.
Possibly.
But like the man, but not the man who crawls on the floor and stands by my bed.
Yeah, who knows?
Ugh, that's just no.
Or maybe the wolves were hellhounds.
Maybe.
Mhm.
That's so creepy. I don't like that.
Creeps.
Just like seeing, just like picturing like a ghost or like just like a demon or something.
Yeah,
just
no.
crawl.
I'm
Ugh.
super okay with never experiencing that in my life.
Same. Okay, so the next one is the watchful eye. I don't have kids, but once visiting some friends on a farm, my buddy's youngest girl, 5 or 6 at the time, was afraid of the chickens. I tried to explain to her that the chickens weren't there to hurt us, but she wasn't having it. So I'm sitting around the fire pit, looking at one of the chickens a few feet in front of me, when I feel hot breath in my ear as she whispers, "See, he's always watching." Horrific and hysterical all at once.
Oh my God, that's. That makes me.
What does that
cringe.
even mean? Like, just the chicken is watching him?
I don't know.
See, he's always watching. But like to whisper that, why?
Super weird. I don't know, man. Ghosts are demented.
That's so creepy. And then chickens. Why chickens?
That's right. Who knows?
That's so interesting.
Mhm.
But anyways, the next one is Leatherface. We have one more after this one. I was sound asleep, and around 6 a.m. I was woken up by my 4-year-old daughter's face inches from mine. She looked right into my eyes and whispered, "I want to peel off. I want to peel all your skin off." The backstory here is I had been sunburned the previous week, and I was starting to peel in my sleep-addled state. However, it was pretty terrifying for a few seconds. I don't know if I was dreaming or what was going on.
That's very weird.
That's kind of funny and creepy at the same time. Just like if not knowing the context, if it literally just said I was sound asleep, blah blah blah, and I want to peel off your skin, and it didn't tell us about the sunburn thing, I'd be like, what the actual fuck?
Yeah, right.
But like after like it kind like when I was a kid, I loved peeling off my sunburn skin. So like that makes sense to me. But like if it literally just said the first part, I'd be like, what?
Yeah.
That's actually kind of creepy.
So
But-
the girl said that to her mom, right?
Yes.
Something like that kind of happened to me once when I was little.
What?
So I used to have the guest bedroom right across the hall from my bedroom,
Mm-hmm.
and we would keep all of like our religious pictures in that room.
Mm-hmm.
And we had like this lamp right beside the doorway that you would just touch it and it would turn on.
Mm-hmm.
And my parents had like a perfect view from their bedroom to the guest bedroom. And apparently one night I just got up in the middle of the night, went over to the doorway of the guest bedroom, turned on the light, and just stood there and watched the room. Yeah. And then my mom was like, "Hey, are you okay? Like, are you going to bed?" And like apparently I was like silent, just turned around, looked at her, and was like, "Good night," and went back to bed.
It'd be like, nope.
Yeah, right. And I have no memory of this. Like the next morning, my mom told me about it, and like I've been freaked out ever since. So I was
Yeah,
like,
I had something similar to that
7 or
too.
8, something like that. Like,
Yeah, I was 9 or 10, probably 10 or 11.
Mhm.
It was around when my parents were getting divorced, and it was like a couple years after my parents got divorced because it was with my dad and his girlfriend.
Okay.
And apparently, because I would always sleepwalk,
Mhm.
and apparently, according to my dad, this is from my dad's point of view, obviously, because I don't remember it, because I was sleepwalking. There was 2 cases. There was one, I believe, where I would literally just walk downstairs because it was a 2 level house, townhouse, and my dad and his girlfriend would be just watching TV, and I would come down and just stand in the living room
And stare at them.
and stare at them, and then my dad would be like, "Caitlin, go to bed," and I'd walk back up and go to bed.
And you have no memory of these, right?
No.
Yeah. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, and then another time, my dad said that I was sitting on the top of the stairs pretending to fish off the stairs, And then I'd like go to bed.
Well, here you were obviously dreaming.
Yeah. And then I like went upstairs and went to bed. But like I was just but like even after he told me to go to bed, I literally just sat there for a couple seconds and then got up and then walked.
Super weird.
Yeah.
See, like I've never slept walk before. That's why like my mom was super freaked out that I did that because I didn't walk very far or anything. So super weird.
So the last one for today, and this is probably going to be the last for the podcast since we've gone over an hour.
Oh, wow. Look at us.
So anyway, so the last one is dangerous tools. This sort of relates. It still makes me laugh hysterically. My childhood friend recently found his journal from when he was about 6 or 7. One entry said something along the lines of, sometimes mommy gardens, sometimes daddy works inside the house. When daddy thinks I'm with mommy and mommy thinks I'm with daddy, sometimes I like to go to the neighbor's garage and play with their dangerous tools.
What the heck? Sounds to me like a serial killer is grown up.
Yeah. Like, why does a kid and this kid wrote that at 6 or 7.
Obviously, he probably enjoys killing small animals.
Yeah, because that's the first steps of killing a serial killer is killing small animals.
So.
But that's so weird.
Kids are weird.
Yeah, and
you gotta watch out for that stuff.
Yeah, and like, just the fact that he was like, yeah, I go when mom and dad think I'm with like one or the other, I just go into my neighbor's garage and play with their dangerous.
And he's smart, so it's like,
yeah,
what to do with this kid?
Yeah, I'm like, what the frick? Well, anyways, thank you for coming on to the podcast.
Thank you for having me once again. This was very nice.
Yeah, we'll have to do this again.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, so thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you guys next Saturday. All right, bye.